Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of Uncaged. My name is Mike Larkin, and back once more by my side. It has been a few weeks, folks. The one, the only DC Daniel Crimmins. How are you, Daniel?
Mago, I'm good. It's been an interesting couple of weeks, both on the show wise and just this wild, wacky world of pro wrestling.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I mean, as we are recording this show for episode 2, season 2, folks, All In is coming out. SummerSlam is gone. All In is here. And then All Out. We have 2 AEW pay-per-views back to back. Yeah, okay.
And honestly, I will say this: one of the better SummerSlams in recent memory. Not great, but one of the better ones.
Well, Shayna and Ronda, a lot of people. Yeah, okay. Shayna and Ronda.
Well, in their defense, it's difficult to do that kind of match when it's scripted.
Yeah, well, they're both MMA fighters, so yeah.
Exactly. Like, how do you do that? When people think that Ronda's not going anywhere. She's going to take some time off. Realistically, she'll probably come back. Maybe I'm going to say Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and I mean the whole relationship with Endeavor and the UFC and WWE coming together. I mean, there's a lot of stuff they could work with Ronda. And I mean, with everything really merging, there's a lot that really WWE can do with the MMA market. So I mean,
I don't
look,
say this. People thought, oh, Ronda's going back to UFC. No. The
oh,
reason Ronda's not going back to the UFC is Ronda got showed up. Her last 2 fights in the UFC, she got exposed.
uh-huh.
And UFC is one of those games. MMA is a game where you can get exposed real quick, and the fighters only get better. Look at Brock. If Brock went back today, he'd get killed.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
because he's a lot. Brock, I think now he's 45.
yeah, he's up there. I mean, he's like in his mid 40s now. Yeah.
He's not a young man. I mean, he's even said, he can't do it anymore. And one thing we will not be discussing, folks, we will not be discussing the wardrobe malfunction from hell.
He ripped his pants, man. He's like SpongeBob with ripped pants. He ripped his pants.
At least with SpongeBob, we didn't see anything.
Oh God, yeah.
The beast was not unleashed.
Oh my God. But I will say this. I
Do
enjoyed
with that whatever you will, people.
right. I did enjoy SummerSlam. I mean, the Jimmy thing now kind of makes sense. I did it for you, Jay. I love you, Jay. I did it for you.
For The Rock.
I did it for the people. And then Jay,
I was really fucking. I'm stoked as hell for her, and eventually we're gonna get Io versus Bailey.
yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Like, I have no issue with that whatsoever. I mean, we now have a heel Street Profits with Bobby Lashley, which they needed to change the scenery.
I like that.
Me too.
Like at first, I kind of thought like, okay, this is a thing, but I don't hate it.
No, it's a breath of fresh air for them.
The only thing I think I would do different, I would put MVP back with them.
Well, I think you got Bobby Lashley on SmackDown. I think he's now the new MVP, and I'm fine with that. And I think they need to work more with Omos, which I'm going to say right now, I don't hate Omos, especially.
No, not at all.
That's the thing. People still crap on it like Omos, but I'm like, dude, the Brock Lesnar match was not bad at all for what we got.
And you got to realize Omos is 7'4".
Yeah, what can you do? You know what I'm saying? He's
not going to be doing a freaking Frankensteiner.
This is not 5-star wrestling over here, folks. He's a giant.
You are not going to see him doing flips and shooting star presses off the top rope. If he did, sure.
Yeah, but you have to understand that what the perception and what the gimmick is, the representation of the presentation. And he's a big mofo that squashes people, and which people also got on, and I'll mention this because this pertains to Omos. When Johnny Gargano came back at the house show and Omos beat him in 30 seconds, everybody's like, oh, God, poor Johnny. I'm like, Johnny Gargano, I think, is very happy just being
He's got a job.
He's got a job. Shut up. And also, if they put him and Ciampa back together, I'd love to see DIY and
yeah. The money's there. And, we had NXT had a really good show not a couple weeks back. We got Carmelo Hayes versus
Ilya Dragunov. Jesus, man, that friggin' show, The Great American Bash. If you've not seen it, watch that main event because they killed it.
And honestly, I gotta think that we're gonna end up getting Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes for the title.
That's definitely down the line. I mean, they're doing Ilya and Trick at Heatwave in a few weeks, and I'm gonna say this right now. I have no issue with this because Wesley, the different trajectory of his thing. If we get Carmelo, Dijak, and Wesley at No Mercy, I'm cool with it. But I would love to see a heel Wesley against a babyface Carmelo Hayes. Sign me up.
I think Wesley could benefit from a manager.
I mean, he has that underdog thing, like that's really good of just cutting those promos and being passionate. But I mean, there's so many different ways you could go with him. I think for me, what the big thing here is, Daniel, and I will mention this, Dirty Dom is really bringing up the ratings for NXT. Like his segment, his match with Dragon Lee, like
It was actually really good.
it was very good, folks. And I mean, if you've not been checking out Dirty Dom, the North American champion on NXT, it's a sight. People love the Judgment Day on NXT.
He is somebody that he has got. I think him turning heel has been the best thing for him.
Well, then because he was just Ray's son, and then it's just like, okay, let me kick Edge in the dick and let's do the Judgment Day thing. And now he's blossomed from it. And putting him and Rhea together was awesome.
It was, and you know what? I really really enjoy it. Although I will say SmackDown had that weird thing with Santos Escobar being hurt. Although, which let's be realistic, we all know what's going to happen. It's going to be Legado del Fantasma turning on Ray.
That's what I was thinking. I'm watching that, and I'm like, no, they're gonna have him turn heel and say that was supposed to be my shot. Now you took my spot, and I can see it from a mile away that they're gonna do Ray and Santos as what Santos.
But you know what? If that's the case, I'm telling you, it's been said that they've been looking for the next Latino star for years.
And Santos is that guy. It could have been. It is, and it could have been Andrade, but I think Santos.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing Andrade back in WWE ever again.
Yeah, no.
And I think you know why.
Yeah. Oh, God.
As long as Charlotte's there, I don't think that's happening.
Oh, Lord. No.
But you know what? I'll tell you, you know me. I like to be shocked. I like to be surprised. I was more surprised that Charlotte did not win, even if it was just a minute. I thought that whole finish was done really well. Like, just when you think that Charlotte's going to pull out another one, you're just like...
And then she gets misted and then rolled up, and then Bianca wins. The whole cash-in was done great.
Let's look at the biggest thing before we really get into this.
Sure.
I will say that what this match did above all else, everybody involved, we're talking Io, Bianca, Asuka, Charlotte, it made all four of them look perfect.
Well, the fact that you had Bianca just getting out there and just hurting you, but then she wants to come back. Io shined, Charlotte shined, and like we mentioned, like I mentioned, Bianca, Io, and Asuka shined. What I love about it too is and I think they followed up with it more about how Io just attacking both Charlotte and Asuka, and I mean you get more of Bayley involved, and also the introduction with Shotzi back with her hair short, and I look forward to seeing her and Shotzi kind of rekindle that.
And on the plus side, we got the rumor that I guess the current trajectory with Judgment Day is for Priest to turn face and leave Judgment Day and JD McDonough to go in.
I'm cool with that because of the tie-in with Finn being his trainer. It
makes sense.
It does.
And I think it seems like this one is kind of be the more sniveling Judgment Day, and JD McDonough fits in that. He fits that role.
So for me, I've always enjoyed him from the NXT UK days and to NXT. He can work. I know he had those allegations against him, but yeah, I mean, the guy is just one of those guys that just sticks out. He's a great heel. He can work, and I think if you put him in that group as the big push, I know Shawn Michaels was really behind him. So I mean, I like it. I think JD McDonough's a good addition. Damian Priest can blossom on his own. I mean, dude, he has worked so hard. And I mean, all of them have worked so hard. Like this Judgment Day is really kind of equated to what we see with the Bloodline. It's one of the most dominant factions out there in WWE. And of course,
yeah,
before we even get into the show, I have two other things, and you just mentioned one. LA Knight winning the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I cannot wait to see where LA Knight goes from here.
LA Knight versus The Miz, and I am all for it.
Me too. Like, the promo back and forth was great. Like, it was awesome.
Like, just the promos alone. Like, everyone says, well, oh, Cody's going to beat Roman. And probably is what we're going to get.
Yeah.
But I am telling you, Cody, have him win the world title on Raw. The one who should defeat Roman, L.A. Knight. Yeah. And I'm telling you, you want the crowd, because they're in Philly. They're in the Northeast for Mania. They will shit all over it if it's not somebody like LA Knight.
Well,
you know how fickle Northeast wrestling fans are.
This is true as being a Northeast wrestling fan. Yes.
And I am telling you, like, you are in the land of extreme. You are in Philadelphia. And I'm telling you, it's the way to fucking do it.
I would like it. And I mean,
and I'm making this prediction right here and now. Paul Heyman's going to go into the Hall of Fame next year.
Oh, and first of all, if there's any place to do it, Philly. Like, hello, UCW, baby.
Give me him. Give me Todd Gordon. Give me, I'll say it. I'll say it. Tommy Dreamer. He deserves it.
He does deserve it, and people crap that Dreamer's still wrestling, but he deserves absolutely to go on.
If he can have halfway decent matches, sure.
Yeah,
and he does.
He does, but yeah, people very much poop on that. But I'm like, shut up. Just let
Drew
Tom.
Carey's in the Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Drew Carey is in the Hall of Fame.
Shit, I'm surprised he didn't put fucking Snooki in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, we're gonna get to that in today's topic, but I will say this. Another thing I do have to mention, because we mentioned LA Knight winning that.
Yeah.
One other thing before, two other things actually. One from SummerSlam, Ricochet and Logan Paul. Holy hell! And Logan wins by cheating, hit him with the brass knucks, and we're probably gonna get a rematch or Payback.
No,
not a fan of Ricochet and Logan Paul.
It could have been so much better. Should have been so much better.
It was a spot fest. I mean, it was. You knew what you were getting with these.
When Mommy doesn't get a match on the card.
Oh, people were pissed that Becky and Trish was not on the card, and we're going to get it on Raw tomorrow.
And Rhea, who's one of your champions.
Yeah.
I guess supposedly Raquel's hurt. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're setting up Raquel and Rhea for Payback.
Although it looks like, judging, maybe we're going to get Rhea on NXT too with what's her name, Blair Davenport.
Oh, you mean Lyra Valkyria?
Yeah, her.
Okay, the other one from the UK. Yes, Lyra Valkyria. The other one.
I don't know if you're the latest rumor. I guess Endeavor was talking about some of the plans they have for WWE. Okay. They want to revamp NXT, make it into more of a third brand again, which cool. I guess there's rumor of NXT UK maybe being relaunched.
I'm fine with that. I mean, you can bring a lot of the talent you had back. That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah, and they'll come back.
Oh, yeah, and a heartbeat.
Like, here's what I don't get. AEW signed Trent Seven. Where the fuck is he?
Was he one of those per appearance deals?
I don't know, but he got the graphic, so he's signed.
Oh, well, because, if anybody gets the graphic, that means they're signed.
Doesn't it?
I don't know. For me, I think it's half and half. Half of, look who we got wrestling on here, and the other part is they're actually signed. So I think it's half and half with Tony, because everybody's his friend. Don't you know this? Everybody's Tony.
Yeah. I will say on the plus side, House of Black are still a champion, so I think that was the right call.
Yeah, they beat Punk in the Revival on last night.
CMFTR or whatever.
CMFTR. And then Punk cut that promo after, and I'm like, why? I know you're gonna. There was no reason for it. I understand, but he poo-pooed on Adam Page again for not being a merch seller.
Phil has become the one thing he didn't want to be. What he shat on that fucking shoot promo, he's become that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've said this, and we're coming towards 1 year of the official Brawl Out. I'm old, I'm tired, and I work with fucking children. Both sides are ridiculous. I think both sides are very petty, but this is just there was no need for what he did last night.
Old man yells at cloud.
Yes. Okay. All right. I like where you went there. Okay. Fair enough. Oh man, yells at cloud. Daniel Kermans, I love you, brother.
You
But
know
no,
I'm right.
I know.
Tell me when I'm telling
I love
lie.
his face. The other thing I will mention before we get into today's topic, Shinsuke. Everybody was going, "Oh God, we're gonna get Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins Part 4." Shinsuke Nakamura turns heel, and it looks like we're getting Seth and Shinsuke Nakamura.
And you know what? I'm cool with it.
We haven't seen that match in like 4 years, 5 years maybe, because they wrestled on the Survivor Series when Seth was the U.S. champ and Nakamura was the no, Seth was the Intercontinental champion. Excuse me. And Nakamura was the U.S. champ. So yeah, in about like 3, 4, 5 years, we haven't seen that match.
Yeah.
Like I'm for it. And Nakamura finally getting that big push again.
I wonder if they'll bring back his heel theme.
I didn't hate it. I know a lot of people were very meh with it.
I
thought
liked it.
Me too. Like that violin and that,
Yeah.
I was cool with it.
Kind of like the actual lyrics with lyrics.
Yes, with actual lyrics.
And it's still not going to top his promo with Renee with the whole sorry.
No speak English.
And the fact that he just had that shit-eating grin.
Oh, the man's a treasure. The man is a treasure. But that is the news and notes for what we have going on here with wrestling. The other thing I will mention, well, all right, we'll do this before we get into it. All Out is coming out. We did mention some of the stuff that's going on. We got MJF, Adam Cole. We have MJF and Adam Cole against Aussie Open for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships on 0 Hour. We have CM Punk and Samoa Joe, and we have FTR and the Young Bucks for the tag titles. And we have Sting and Darby Allin against AR Fox and Shane Strickland.
I don't care.
You're really in that mode, okay? Daniel Crimmins.
Like, don't get me wrong. It just, and supposedly we have Jeff Jarrett versus
Grado.
Yeah.
Great.
Why, when you have so many amazing fucking people, you got Miro.
Oh well, we might get him now. If we saw in Collision, he's now in a feud with Powerhouse Hobbs.
But still, the fact that Jeff Jarrett is featured so prominently on TV.
Grado, baby. They're setting it up from that radio appearance where he hit him with the guitar. It's just arrow.
Like, and you got so many people who are okay with it and are not guaranteed. If WWE pulled all this crap, they'd be all over it.
Oh yeah, and I mean, for me, like you mentioned, you don't care. I'm very like with the card. I don't hate it, but I'm just kind of very blasé to it. You know.
And another big shocker: Tetsuya Naito won the G1.
I'm not shocked at all by that because I knew, dude, it's the formula, and I love New Japan, but it's Okada, Naito, maybe somebody else. Well, we had Ibushi, Okada, Naito. It's always Okada, Naito in the mix, and now he's gonna face which one's the champion going into Wrestle Kingdom?
I think right now it's Sonata. I think I could be wrong.
No, it's Sonata because that's the battle of Los Ingobernables de Japón.
But I was more shocked Okada didn't win it.
Well, how many times? Okada's won it like numerous times. I think this time
he is the New Japan version of John Cena.
Oh, he absolutely is, and I think I love Okada. You know, I love Okada. We all love Okada, but having Naito in there again, and I really don't mean to bash New Japan, but it's a lot of the same formulaic stuff. Like I mentioned, Okada, Naito, or somebody, and there might be somebody new, but you'll see Okada or Naito. But Naito and Sonata makes sense just because.
Tells the story.
Yes, Naito and Sonata make sense because of Los Ingobernables de Japón.
Maybe Naito will finish the story.
Hey.
See what I did there?
I saw what you did there, but yeah. And first of all, I can't wait to see what that is because that match is going to be really good. But yeah, I'm going to tune in. Like I said, there's a lot of great wrestling out there, and we may be very blasé on some stuff, but we can't deny the talents that are in there. But
what we can deny and be blasé about is some of the guest hosts. Which, like, what is our topic for today again?
Oh, snap. Okay, but we can be blasé on this. So our topic for episode 2 is the best and worst celebrity guest hosts ever in wrestling history. And I will start with one that was very, very bad, that I hated with a passion. And there's a lot of ones that were very bad. Jeremy Piven and Dr. Ken.
The guy who, and don't care, I'm a Ken Jeong fan. I love the guy.
Mhm.
It was clear that they had no idea who any of these people were.
Well, when Jeremy Piven called it Summerfest instead of SummerSlam, you know.
And you could tell he didn't care.
Well, he didn't want to be there. He's just like, okay, they're promoting my movie, but whatever, I'm here.
Yeah, I'll show up.
And he did a crossbody spot, and John Cena caught him, and then he dropped. John Cena said, "I don't give a fuck who you are, Dr. Ken." He just military press and slammed him right onto friggin' Jeremy Piven with such force, because you can tell, like, I'm not having this shit. You can tell that they were.
Ken Jeong was cool with it all.
Oh yeah, but I mean, the thing I've always said about guest hosts, if you could tell they're not into it, and they're just there for a payday, and it's not going to be fun. I mean, yeah.
One of my favorites, Paul Rubens, the late great Paul Rubens.
God rest his soul. My favorite one, The Miz and Alex Riley, when he's in the ring, and then he said, "Ring, dude, you can't say the secret word." Like the interaction with the three of them, and the Big Show comes out as his brother, and he's dressed like Paul Rubens and Pee Wee. Then he takes out The Miz and Alex Riley. Oh, yes,
God rest his soul.
Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, baby, yes. That was a big one. All right, one that I can't believe I'm saying this. And I love them to death, and I've been a fan since the 80s. Don Johnson and John Heater, Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Don Johnson, one of the best characters ever, Sonny Crockett, Miami Vice. John Heater, very iconic with his roles of Napoleon Dynamite. Came out being all heelless in a robe dressed like he's Ric Flair, and actually wrestled a match on Raw. John Heater. What were your thoughts on Don Johnson and John Heater?
And not one of the best, not one of the worst.
Hmm?
We always talk about her. You know who her is being the worst.
Yeah.
So let's not forget the former Mr. Britney Spears, Kevin Federline.
I didn't hate that as much, and I'll tell you why. Because he was into it, at least. He tried. So the gimmick of the time was, it was late 2006. John Cena's going against King Booker and the Big Show, and it's a triple threat, and you get to decide at Cyber Sunday whose title's on the line. Kevin Federline said he wants to see John Cena get his ass kicked all up and down this ring. He gives him the FU, and then as World Heavyweight title was on the line, he comes out and screws John Cena, hits him with his own belt, and King Booker wins. And then he challenged him to a match on the New Year's Revolution edition of Raw in 2007. I remember watching it here in Myrtle Beach. Kevin Federline comes out looking like a boxer. Johnny Nitro's in his corner. John Cena plays around with him. He's wearing the headgear. He just picks him up, puts him on the top rope, smacks his chin. He gives him one free headlock. And then Umaga comes in, who he's shooting with at the time, gives him the Samoan spike, and then the old belt shot to the head. Kevin Federline wins, makes it rain on him, and then John Cena gets his revenge at the end of the night with the FU. And that was Kevin Federline's brief thing in the WWE. He tried. He really did try.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't hate it, though. I was not one of the haters, but I hated Kevin Federline at the time, because it's like, dude, the only reason why you're famous, because he was really trying to do his rap thing. Like, dude, the only reason why you're famous is because you were a backup dancer for Britney Spears.
And then her baby daddy.
And her baby daddy.
Now there's you talk about ones that make no sense, and I'm not gonna get too far into this. Just the storyline was just strange. We're talking about the 1 week guest host of Donald Trump. Now, feelings about him aside,
Yes.
the storyline was just it made no sense.
You know what the goal was. The end goal was just for Vince to tell him you're fired. That was.
If I remember right, like they made like this rule, this like office of like from his show, The Apprentice, made it look like his backstage office.
Yeah.
And end of the night, he buys Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually, I think, the first guest host.
He was one of the early first ones, yes.
And then the next week, McMahon buys it back and fires him.
Again, it was just the end goal of Vince to tell him you're fired. That was it, so he could fire Donald Trump on his television show.
Which, okay. And what gets me absolutely, I think it's funny that people thought this was real.
Oh my God! Like the news, everybody's like, "Oh, Donald Trump is buying Raw, and you'll see him on WWE now." And the media was like picking up on it. And I'm like, do you people realize that this is a storyline, and Donald Trump is really not in charge of Raw?
That they had to, it got so bad. I remember WWE had to put out a corporate statement.
Yep.
And I honestly think that this was probably, I really think this was supposed to go on a lot longer. But because people thought, people don't realize that, hey, wrestling's storyline driven.
It's scripted.
They had to basically be like, yeah, we got 86 this is done.
We got to axe this. And I also think it's I can see it making sense from the fact of 2 years prior, Vince got his head shaved. And then now he could say, hey, Donald, I fired you on my television for revenge for that. So I get it. And I mean, whatever. It was like a 1 week thing, yeah.
It was stupid.
All right, I'll bring up one just because. You had your Cedric the Entertainers, and this was around the time when Chavo Guerrero was losing to a lot of the was feuding with Hornswoggle and getting beaten up by the guest hosts. Cedric the Entertainer was one. Snoop, which is a legendary one, and Hornswoggle was dancing with the girls, and Gangsta Love came on. Macaulay Culkin was another one. It was nice to see the cameo of Macaulay Culkin. You had Timbaland because they were in his music video. These are ones that kind of stick out to me. The best one from one of my absolute favorites, I have to mention it, Daniel, Bob Barker.
The price is wrong, Bob.
The price is wrong, Bob. Well, the him and Chris Jericho thing was hilarious. Just that whole thing with Chris Jericho being all upset because, don't watch your mouth, Barker. Like, it was so good. That whole Price is Right segment was awesome. And he was into it.
Chris Jericho, I know he's Canadian, but he's a national treasure.
He is. I mean, regardless of how you feel about him and his politics aside, he is one of the most charismatic cats ever.
I know he doesn't think it's going to happen, but I really hope WWE won't be so freaking petty and we'll put him in the Hall of Fame because, God damn it, he deserves it.
I don't see them being petty on that. I think he'll be in there. I don't see them being petty like that. I really don't. I mean, and Chris Jericho around the time too with the Bob Barker thing was awesome. Like, there's a lot of celebrities in there. Like, at least Bob Barker didn't wrestle. That was a good thing. I mean, he did a freaking karate chop on the Chavo Guerrero like Happy Gilmore, and that's why it was so funny. Remember a lot of the times too, like the Bellas were really just like the hot eye candy for the guest hosts. Yeah, they did that for a little bit.
Hey, Bob Barker was probably cool with it.
Oh, freaking Brie and Nikki Bella on your arm. Hello.
Or Garcia, I guess now that's what they're calling themselves.
Yeah,
their real name. Because
we are not the Bellas anymore, and WWE didn't use us for this. And I don't want to. It's just ridiculous.
How long until they show up on AEW?
Well, again, and I don't mean to be mean towards Tony Khan, but Tony Khan will take anyone because he's got the money. He will. And it's not a shot. It's really not, but it's the truth because he's so about sucking up the talent. You know what I'm saying? He is. I'm sorry. But people, you have to have the balls to just call out his bullshit every once in a while. It's okay.
And see, the thing is, I will call out any fucking promoter's bullshit.
Me too. But the AEW ground is sacred. It's sacred.
Let's look at some of the, there's been a lot of bullshit with WWE, some of the guest hosts. And I feel we would be really remiss if we didn't Snooki.
Well, she wasn't a guest host, but she did wrestle. So
she was a guest host too. That's how it all started.
Was she? Oh yeah. Oh God. Now you're bringing this memory back into my head. Zack Ryder and her had an interaction backstage, and for those who never saw it, she was feeling his pecs and feeling the muscles. Because remember, Jersey Shore was the big thing at the time.
It was.
It was. And it led to Trish and Snooki, Yuki, and John Morrison.
And then every freaking company under the sun decided, you know what, we got to get Jersey Shore. You know, Impact got, they got JWoww.
Ronnie.
They got Ronnie and,
Angelina.
Her. And I heard WWE tried to get Paulie and Situation, but, you know,
No.
Either that or they wanted too much money.
Hey, we almost got Justin Bieber at SummerSlam because they wanted to do a match with John Cena and Justin Bieber and like a thing. So we almost got Justin Bieber.
The Biebs.
The Biebs. Because he was.
But honestly, with the whole Jersey Shore, I think it was probably the money.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. It was Trish. We talk about this a lot, but it was Trish, John Morrison, and Snooki against Dolph and Laycool at WrestleMania 27. Yeah, 27. I don't know. It was not 26. It was 27. There we go. So WrestleMania 27. Dude, she did a cartwheel. She did a handstand, back elbow, and a splash.
Well, she was also a gymnast,
which worked. You know, so she did 2 moves. I'm not going to hate it. Like she did.
Hey, she's undefeated at WrestleMania.
Yes, she is.
You know who can't say that?
Who's that?
Undertaker.
Oh, well, that's going to be one of our matchups and one of our topics later on.
And I can already hear people sharpening their pitchforks right now.
When we get to that episode, we gotta talk about it. So yeah, I know the streak should. Yeah, the streak should have ended the way it should have. But the celebrity appearances of Snooki. I mean, Impact they did, like you mentioned, Ronnie, Angelina. Ronnie wrestled. Angelina wrestled. JWoww did not. She just made that one appearance where she slapped Cookie.
Well, Ronnie tried. Like he just did like a tackle.
Yeah, he did. I think it was a tackle and a body slam, and that was it. He tried. Angelina was a hot mess. She should not have been in the ring, but she was. Yeah, that's what I can say about the Jersey Shore during that time period. I mean, as far as guest hosts, we mentioned Snoop was one of the best ones. It's just it's interesting.
I think they had Dana Carvey.
Dana Carvey was one, and I was okay with it because I like Dana Carvey.
Oh, I do too. He's too funny.
He's too funny. And I mean, that's the thing when it comes to like these guest hosts. If you're into it, it's great. If you're not, it shows.
Like, do you remember a movie? I forget what year it was. Maybe it was. I think it was in like maybe 2010 or so. That movie MacGruber.
Oh God, the dude from MacGruber was a guest host. Yes, and the great
we even got his brother Kaluber.
And then then he comes out and chops him. Oh, Vladimir Kozlov, and oh God, it's just him and what was it, Ryan Philippe, right? Him and
Ryan Philippe or however
whatever the fuck his name is. Yeah, there's a lot of them. I mean, for me with the guest host, I will put him over because he was on WWE Creative. Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yep.
When then he took an RKO from Randy Orton.
And let's not forget Hugh Jackman.
Woo woo woo! Helping Zack Ryder beat Dolph Ziggler.
And actually breaking Dolph Ziggler's jaw.
He punched him so hard. If you go back and watch that match, folks, he punches him hard.
And he even later apologized for it.
Oh, he did. Absolutely.
Like he said he legit felt really, really bad for it.
I mean, how can you not? Like, after all of that. I'm trying to think who else was a good one. Oh, Wayne Brady. Wayne Brady, who took the RKO as well from Randy Orton. Wayne Brady was fun.
It's Wayne Brady.
Well, it's Wayne Brady. Anyway. Flavor Flav, that also comes to mind.
Oh, good old Flavor Flav.
Well, I mean, it's interesting to talk about because there was, I'll mention one that does stick out. The Jesse the Body Ventura, when him and Vince McMahon were on commentary for the night where Sheamus won the Battle Royal. For one night only, we had the reunion at the commentary table with Jesse Ventura and Vince McMahon.
That had to be awkward as hell.
Well, with everything that Jesse has said about the WWE, oh yeah.
And I know Jesse had that show Conspiracy Theory.
It's all that mind control.
And like I think that was his first appearance since I think it was SummerSlam 2000, where he refereed that triple threat with Mankind, Triple H, and Stone Cold.
So that was SummerSlam 99. So he hasn't been on
99, okay.
Yeah. So he hadn't been on WWE in like 10 years after that. So I mean, actually, no, I stand corrected. Remember, he was on Raw in like 2001 for like a brief thing when like that whole thing happened with the winner take all. Like that was it, and then he came back years later for that, which it was fun. It was a very fun appearance. It was retro and it worked.
And you know what? They put him in the Hall of Fame, which good for him.
Yeah, I mean,
I know Jesse's kind of hit and miss. Some people really like him. Some people, his commentary back in the day was great.
Well, him and Vince were funny together as hell. Funny.
Oh yeah, God, they were. To me, like you talk about great heel face, commentary. Those two, before we had, Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, we had Ventura and McMahon. Like we had him making fun of Vince before we knew who Vince was.
Right. And I mean, for me, you look at that list as well. I mean, I'm trying to think like other ones that really stuck out for me, like because it's around the time period with Ventura. We had Shaq, which led to Shaq and the Big Show going at it, which we never got the match, but we did get him in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal together, and him calling Chris Jericho Chrissy, which was a thing. And yeah, Shaq. Um, Another one that sticks out to me, Mike Tyson, where he knocks out Chris Jericho, and Mike Tyson was another good one.
Yep.
Al Sharpton was another one that I do remember him being a part of that. You remember Al Sharpton very briefly?
That was weird.
they had the Reverend on. I'm trying to think ones that really stick out, man. Oh, Ozzy and Sharon was fun.
Because dude, it's Ozzy Osbourne.
He was nuts, and it worked. Like, and then they revved everybody up. It was good. It was good.
I think didn't he also perform a song that night?
He might have. I remember him performing "I Don't Want to Stop" on SmackDown 2 years prior. Before that, that I do remember. I don't know if it was that night. It might have been the one you're thinking of. Dude, that was the same year Piper. Piper was at the Garden, and him and Vince almost had a match, and he threatened to kick Vince's ass on TV.
I think he would have.
Oh, I think he absolutely would have. I think he was trying to get like a match with him and Vince at WrestleMania. I think that year, but that year it was Vince and Brett.
We're not talking about that match.
No, that first of all, that match was the shits. It went on so fucking long. It was so I understood it, but I will say this: the match was the shits.
And Brett is even shit on it. Well, to be fair, Brett shits on a lot of stuff.
Well, Goldberg.
He shits on Bill Goldberg.
Yeah, that's his job. He hates Bill Goldberg so much.
He talks about Bill Goldberg all the time. Even Bill Goldberg has apologized for hitting Bret Hart, but nobody can respect Bill Goldberg.
Well, that's the. Now imagine if he shows up at All In. No, I'm kidding. Oh, I just put that in the universe.
Mike, I had to reference that infamous promo.
I know.
I think he just likes to be called Goldberg. Well, I don't care. Bill Goldberg just likes to be called Goldberg. I'll call him Bill Goldberg.
That was so awesome. WCW late 90s. Bret Hart refuses to call him Goldberg. I'm just going to call him Bill Goldberg. It was so great.
Gotta love Bret Hart.
You gotta. I mean, I'm trying to think another one that really sticks out to me, Daniel. Mark Cuban was a good one because that was the same night where Sheamus and John Cena had that contract signing, and Sheamus put him through the table.
And Mark Cuban was not the same one where Mark Cuban got RKO'd by Randy Orton.
That was years prior to that. That was 2003 at Survivor Series.
But it was still great.
But Mark Cuban will take a bump because he loves wrestling. It worked.
I'll just say, why did Endeavor have to buy the WWE? Couldn't Mark Cuban have bought it? He had the money. He has the money.
I know, but Mark Cuban, man, I don't know. I mean, what I really do also love about guest hosts, because like I said, folks, we're listing some good and bad ones. Of course, God rest his soul, Jerry Springer was an amazing guest host. Then remember that was the same night they did Kelly, and all the girls were like, "Oh, well, I'm sleeping with him. I'm sleeping with them." They tried to do like a Jerry Springer segment. Wasn't as good, but it was great to see Jerry.
I mean, God rest his soul. And he's a wrestling fan. Was.
For me, I think one that sticks out that we have to talk about, because you mentioned Jesse Ventura, who was in the same Hall of Fame class in 2004 when it was him and the one and only, gotta bring it up, man, Pete Rose.
Oh, good old Pete Rose.
And then him and Kane got into it in the back, which was fun. So they reignited their feud, their little thing.
The fact that they still like, and nobody ever figured out why, why Kane attacked Pete Rose to begin with.
But he just hated him. He just hated him.
Like, did they ever do a storyline explanation there?
No, not at all. No.
And I love that they made it a running joke.
Well, he tombstoned him at WrestleMania 14, and then he got him again at WrestleMania 15, and then he got him again at WrestleMania 16, and it's been great ever since.
And then didn't Kane induct Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame?
Yes, he did.
The only Hall of Fame that Pete Rose is ever going in.
Oh my God, yeah, that was the only Hall of Fame that he's in, and it's hilarious. Oh.
But it wasn't bad. Like, there's definitely been some good ones and some bad ones.
I mean, for me, Will Sasso's
Jesse Ventura impression.
It's hilarious.
It's good.
Like him and Karrion Kross have like some of the best, like really, really good impressions of.
I will say that Kross has the facial expressions though.
Yeah, Will Sasso has the better impression, but Karrion Kross has the great facial expression.
He's got the voice.
The voice for Jesse the Mind Ventura. Oh, but yeah, no, there's been a lot of good ones, and I mean, it's interesting because we talk about it a lot, and these are just some that we're mentioning from the top of our head here. But like we mentioned wrestling, like if you even look at it back in the day with like Antonio Inoki and Muhammad Ali, and you had friggin' Gorilla Monsoon and Antonio Inoki and Muhammad Ali getting in there, they've done a lot of cross-brand promotions in there. I mean, you look at LT and Bam Bam Bigelow from WrestleMania 11.
I'd rather not remember that match.
Well, I'm going to say right now, if there was anybody in there to make Lawrence Taylor look good, it was Bam Bam Bigelow. It was.
How the hell is he not in the Hall of Fame?
Who, Bam Bam Bigelow? I have no idea. He's another one that needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Bam Bigelow. I watched the Dark Side of the Ring on him. First of all, that was one of the ones that made me go, okay, good dude, genuine dude, but drugs, man, gets you every time.
Speaking of Dark Side of the Ring, Marty
No,
Jannetty.
No, I don't want to talk about Marty Jannetty. I don't want to talk about Marty Jannetty. I watched it. He's a nut. He's out of his effing mind. Let's just
folks, if you haven't seen it, if you
know,
thought the Nick Gage episode was something,
this Marty Jannetty is out of his fucking mind.
The Marty Jannetty episode makes the Nick Gage episode look like, a Disney movie.
It's that's a great description. It's
like seriously,
like it's
like
bad.
If you thought Nick Gage was nuts, I'm telling you, it's that bad.
And the thing about Marty too is he was so great as a wrestler, and I was rooting for him in 2005 when he came back with Shawn, and then he did the match with Kurt Angle. I'm like, okay, now he's a guy that
pretty good.
He was very good, and he could have worked with the young guys, and it would have been fine, and it would have been great. And then he flushed it down the fucking toilet
again.
And
then they brought him back a couple years later, and again.
He had the match with Miz that was very good, and then he flushed it down the toilet again.
We got the Rockers reunion a couple times, which was really, really cool.
And just, yeah.
Now we find out he tried to kill Shawn.
Oh my God, they had that friggin' bout. They had the fight in the backstage, and then the whole thing with when they were talking about the barbershop segment and just the fact that, he really kicked me hard. I'm like, well, he beat the shit out of him backstage, man.
Like, you really think he's not going to give you a receipt for that?
Like we're not just gonna act like that didn't happen, Marty, where you friggin' beat the man half to death. And then
makes no sense to me.
It doesn't. But anyway, with the guest hosts and the celebrities, I will say this. Another one, like we talk about matches, like Cedric and the Entertainer had a match, Snoop Dogg had a match, and all these talent having a match. It's interesting to me how nowadays we have Ricochet and Logan Paul. For instance, Logan Paul. We have Logan Paul and Bad Bunny. Where the hell were they years ago? Because now you look forward to like celebrity stuff.
Yeah, I think part of it is like you can tell when people have a genuine love for what they do, and also when it's just a payday.
Yep. Dennis Miller, I will say this: when he did the Slammies, you could tell Dennis Miller just was there to the money. It's all about the money.
It's all about the
About
money.
the money.
So here's what I'm wondering.
What?
The Endeavor deal is supposed to go through within another month.
Mm-hmm.
How long until we see Dana White on WWE TV?
We saw him at WrestleMania for Ronda's match in 2018. So
He was back. He was in the crowd, but I'm saying like on camera. And folks, if you think that's not going to happen, I know they've said that's not going to happen, but and I'm telling you now, either this year or next year, I'm going to say it's going to be this year. You know, they're saying Brock's done this year. And I'm calling it now Brock Lesnar versus John Jones.
I'm cool with that. I'm fine with that. I love that.
You know, the only other one, Daniel Cormier, I would say Cormier, but we saw him at Extreme Rules.
Well, he's getting older.
And he's also getting bigger.
Yes, he is. Very much. But
a guy who used to be the UFC light heavyweight champion and heavyweight champion.
I know that's what happens as you get older. You tend to, when you're not, when you're not fighting anymore, you tend to,
But and you see people say, well, they wouldn't do John Jones. Yes, they would. Because you got to realize, from a business standpoint, Mike, I know you know a little bit about the wrestling business.
Uh-huh.
You look at it this way. Two factors to why I say Endeavor would definitely do this. Number one, 40th anniversary of WrestleMania. It's got to be big. Number two, this will be the first WrestleMania under the Endeavor umbrella. You've got shareholders you've got to answer to. So it would make sense. If not John Jones, it's going to be somebody UFC related.
Man, I think for me, if you do any big UFC star, I mean, it's going to be great. I mean, you have Nate Diaz in there now. You have a lot of great talents there. Man,
Misha Tate, who supposedly, I know she was it Tate? No, it was Amanda Nunes that recently just retired.
Yes, there's Amanda Nunes. There's a lot of those girls. All right, I'm going to say Paige Van Zant. The fact that we haven't seen her on AEW, and come on, her on WWE would be very interesting.
Can we get Dan Lambert on TV again? Because that was entertaining.
Dan Lambert's funny. He's a belt collector like you. I know why you have a little bias there, you belt collecting son of a gun. He's a belt collector like Dan.
He's a wrestling fan.
He is. He's very entertaining.
But I will say this, you know what? I think he could do it. He's even said he's not opposed to it. But we're going to get UFC crossover at WrestleMania 40. You know we are.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, if Dan Lambert's any indication, I mean, he was the American top team in Impact, then I mean, he does have a pinfall victory over James Storm, sir.
Exactly. And Bobby Lashley's still technically part of American top team.
Yep. As long as we don't get Kevin Matthews or AKA KM, I'm good. Because he was a part of the top team.
There's worse people.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, God. Friggin' Colby Covington, that son of a bitch.
The little good old Q guy.
Yeah, okay. Oh, but no. I mean, also with the celebrity involvement, you not just Snooki. I'm going to bring this up because this also ties in with the celebrity guest host. Maria Menounos was a guest host, and she and Kelly wrestled Beth Phoenix and Eve at WrestleMania. Maria Menounos.
She, again, she's somebody, she genuinely likes wrestling.
I mean, the Dusty Rhodes promo at the Hall of Fame where she did Hard Times. Come on now.
And even if they don't like wrestling, there have been ones that have taken it seriously.
Yes, Maria Menounos, one of them.
Hugh Jackman took it seriously because he's a serious actor.
Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson loves WWE.
Yeah. Guest hosting can be done. It's when it's done horribly, it's the drizzle shits.
Oh, absolutely is.
But Mike, when it's done right, there's something about it.
Oh yeah, I mean one of that I do remember because I remember seeing the movie in theaters. They had the hot tub time machine guys on Raw, and they did a segment where they're all in the hot tub, so that was interesting. Um, I think another one that really stuck out to me is when I think they got Sasso on there. Remember when he was promoting the Three Stooges?
Yeah, didn't he come out as Steve Austin? Or
That
was
was
that
for,
years before?
that was years before. That was like '02. But he was great doing the Stone Cold impression. He's so funny, like Will Sasso, man.
He's another one, genuine wrestling fan.
Yes, that's the basis of this. I mean, we could talk about guest hosts here. We're tying into celebrity matches and stuff. Hey, man, as long as we don't get Jenna Maraska and a Charmel from Victory Road '09 again, folks, it's one of the worst matches ever in Impact Wrestling history. Jenna Maraska, who can't wrestle, they only brought her in because her and Kurt Angle did a movie together, and she was on Survivor. Charmel was in the main event Mafia, the other female, so hey, you got to put her and Charmel together, and it sucked. And then Awesome Khan came out and killed Jenna Maraska, and she took the move. How do you take the implant buster wrong? And just yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. Don't
You
watch.
know, we talk guest hosting in general. Let's let's even give AEW some honorable mention. Let's just talk about the Snoop Splash.
I mean, we'll talk about stupid WrestleMania. We've talked about that, but that's right. That frog splash that he did. Oh dear God. Oh dear God.
But I got love for Snoop. I respect everything that he's done in the music industry. You
And he's a
know,
genuine fan. He's a genuine fan.
the what I always admire about is he got a lot of shit for this. If you remember when he got the Hollywood Walk of Fame,
Yeah,
and he said, "I want to thank me," and people thought, "Well, that's because he put in the work."
he did. You can thank yourself. Like he was a gangbanger, and now he's friggin' made a career of himself. And now he's a football coach and he's a family man. Like
He's a kingmaker.
he is. He's a smart son of a gun.
Like, if he wanted to, he could start up his own wrestling company.
Yeah, I
He's
agree.
got the money.
Now, on the other side of Snoop here, not only did Shaq do WWE, but Shaq actually wrestled in AEW with him and Jade Cargill and Cody and Red Velvet. Now, that splash through the table from Cody to Shaq, I got to say, I didn't hate it. I thought I was going to hate it, but I didn't hate it.
No comment.
You hated it, I'm guessing. He hated
But
it.
I hate a lot of things. Like, that's kind of my thing.
Yeah, you do. You don't like a lot of things. It's okay. I didn't. I mean, when I say I didn't hate it, the match was still very meh. And you also have to understand, like, I don't hate Red Velvet. I don't. But she's another one that's very meh. And then you have Shaq and Jade Cargill. Now this was the start of Jade Cargill. We didn't even know who she was. She just came on out and said, "Hey, Cody, you're gonna face Shaq." And we have never seen Jade Cargill ever, 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 ever. And also, you have to remember this is during the pandemic, so everybody's trying to do their best to put on a great product. But yeah. There was
And
some
you know what? I will say to her credit, Jade Cargill got so much fucking better. And I hope she comes back soon.
personally, I don't see it because I think she can make moves outside of that bubble because she does have mainstream. I mean, she does own like a baseball team now, like a little league baseball team, and she can make stuff work. I think she might transcend out of that. I mean, with her TBS title run, like I saw her get moving up here. Like when she first came in, it's like, who the hell is this? And then it just turned to, all right, this is very interesting because you could see her progressing, and she had only had a minimal amount of matches, and then here we are.
And you know what? There were so many wasted opportunities with her. There were fucking tons. Like, she put the work in, got better. And, like, I don't know. I just think, like you, I don't think she's going back to AEW. I would love to see her back. She's got a young kid, so I really don't see WWE being a thing. Maybe NXT.
I mean, she had a tryout years ago. Like she was there and nothing happened. But I mean, man, like they have a lot of girls down there already, and that's the interesting part. Like people want to see them go to promotions, but I'm like, WWE has this developmental system with NXT, and they're making people. Like, you know what I'm saying? And you're having the main roster stars work with them. It's a nice mix of telling storylines on different brands too. Like what they're doing, the formula that they're working is great, and that's what I've always thought about Tony Khan. It's like he talks about we don't need a performance center. I'm like, well, Tony, I mean, it's great that you want them to do the indies, but they need a performance center. I mean, the Nightmare Factory is fine, but you need like some sort of thing to help train these people.
Exactly. Work on the promos. Like, I get it. You want to do your own thing. You don't want to copy WWE. Totally cool. I'm fine with that. But what? Just have some refining. Like, throw Dustin Rhodes a little bit of money.
Yeah, I mean, when you got Dustin Rhodes there that can help people, I understand. And I mean, we hear about the stuff that's going on now with Lufisto. I think that was the only other thing we mentioned from the news that we forgot. Like, Lufisto's making claims towards Britt Baker, and not really Britt Baker, but the AEW women's locker room. And I mean, have you seen Lufisto work? Because I've seen her indie stuff. Have you seen Lufisto work, or have you heard of Lufisto before this?
I've heard of her. I've not really seen her stuff.
So, for those that don't know, she was a very talented wrestler on the independent scene. She's done some work for CCW. I think she may have done a thing in Ring of Honor and Shimmer. She had a very bad stroke years ago, and but yeah, no, she's been around. And I think there was an incident with her and the bunny and like a lot of the girls. And I think one of them was she mentioned the bunny, and then there was one like possibly with I think it was a Thunder Rosa, and everybody's now it's not true. And of course, here's the problem with that. Look, what I don't like about it is too, when you hear stuff like that, just ignore it. You know what I'm saying? Because then when you get to social media, it gets friggin' bigger and bigger and bigger. That's the problem.
It spreads like wildfire.
It spreads like wildfire, and people just need to ignore that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? But we don't. And Tony Khan just and does nothing because we're 4 years into this company, but he's still so happy that I get to run a wrestling company. That's the issue that I see. And I think that goes with anything wrestling, and especially what ties into the guest host part of it. If you're a guest host, like we mentioned, just putting in the work and putting in the time and the love for it, not just looking at it as a payday. Like, I mean, we mentioned Mike Tyson in WWE with his runs there. But the AEW thing, I mean, when he's taking off his shirt and fighting with Jericho and that whole cluster of that, what that segment was, you could tell he was into it, but he was going a little bit like 1,000 miles an hour, like friggin' going at that segment.
The thing of it is, and it's easy to shit on Tony Khan, but there's things that he could do. The whole Lufisto thing, I don't know what to think about it. It's
We're not there. I mean, it's hearsay,
like I said, it's just it's the whole thing is just weird to me.
It is. And I mean, with stuff like that too, I mean, and I'll go back to the celebrity stuff. Like, all right, one that we didn't mention, but it did happen. Mickey Rourke spilled the beans way too early about his bout with Chris Jericho. So then we got Chris Jericho and the Legends, which was Piper, Snuka, and Steamboat looked the best. And then Mickey Rourke knocked him out after the match. Mickey Rourke could count in celebrity. Like, he did his thing,
And Jericho even said it. Like, they were supposed to do a whole match.
And then he spilled the beans. And then
not only that, but Mickey Rourke's publicist said, "You do this, you will never work again."
Yeah, so that will be like, okay, I guess we're not going to do this.
And it's sad because I think that would have been a good match.
With his boxing background, and I think he would, knowing Mickey Rourke with the work that he put into the wrestler, I think with what we saw there, he would definitely put in the work for the match with Jericho.
I mean, folks, here's a guy who were trained to be a wrestler, did his own stunts after they sort of like, yeah, dude, we can get you a stunt guy. It's no problem. He said, no, I'll do it.
I'll do it myself. He did his own stunts in that movie.
Now, fun fact, originally it wasn't supposed to be Mickey Rourke.
Who was the guy that they wanted?
Are you ready for a laugh?
Okay, go ahead.
If I remember right, this was 20th Century Fox, and initially it was going to be a big budget.
Yeah, this was 2008 when this came out.
It was initially. Now, the director, Darren Aronofsky, he wanted Mickey Rourke from the get. The studio's like, no, we're going to do Nicolas Cage. Yeah. Nicolas Cage would have been Randy the Ram Robinson.
No. I'm already shaking my face. No. Shaking my head. Nope.
Nicolas Cage. on the top rope.
Yeah, doing an elbow. Nicolas Cage, 8mm. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage, Gone 60 Seconds. City of Angels. Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, looking for buried treasure.
National Treasure. Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, who recently played Count Dracula.
Oh my god.
Which, by the way, if you haven't seen Renfield, it's actually a pretty good movie.
Is it really good? Okay, I'll have to check
It's entertaining.
All right.
A guy who's even said he only made those shitty movies because he needed to pay his taxes.
I love the honesty.
But he even said in an interview, like, Mickey Rourke's his friend. He said that, like, when Darren Aronofsky came up to him and said, hey, look, studio wants you. I really want Mickey Rourke for this role. He needs it. And because let's be real, Mickey Rourke at that time was not going to work. Nobody was casting him. This movie brought him back.
Oh, it did. 100%.
Nicolas Cage was like, okay, I totally get it. I'll back out and I'll make sure he gets it. Studio's like, okay, we'll let you have Mickey Rourke, but your budget?
Yep.
Bye-bye.
I think for me also around that time, and what I love about it too as well, like we're really encompassing the wrestling side of things with today's news and everything in today's forum. But I would be remiss, as you state, Mr. Daniel Crimmins, and it kind of ties into the Cody Rhodes documentary because when you think of celebrity involvement, both ways here. Stephen Amell at All In against the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels, and Stephen Amell and Adrian Neville against Wade Barrett, Bad News Barrett, King Barrett, and Cody Rhodes at Stardust. Stephen Amell, you can equate to that. What do you think of Stephen?
Yeah. A guy who he has a wrestling TV show.
Yes, he does.
Amell is another one. He's a wrestling fan.
And he worked hard. Like the SummerSlam match, he worked hard. You could tell he was into it.
Yeah.
Same with and same with All In.
And it was good. It was a good match. Bad News Barrett. I enjoy Wade Barrett on commentary. I do. I just want to hear him say, well, I'm afraid I've got some bad
news. Well, that was also the big news, folks. The shakeup of Wade Barrett and Michael Cole on Raw, and now Michael Cole's pulling double duty. Him, Corey Graves, and Kevin Patrick on SmackDown. I'm cool with that. We still got Cole.
I think Kevin Patrick has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Let's just hope he stays, because everybody they have that has potential ends up quitting.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest right now. I don't hate the announced team ensemble. I mean, people crap on NXT's announced team because it's Vic Joseph and Booker T. Shucky Ducky.
I like Vic Joseph. I do.
Me too. Booker T people is the one. Shucky Ducky quack quack with the greatest of ease.
I love though that Booker T's like, yeah, Michael Cole's never going to be able to retire.
I love that so much too. Oh, and Booker T with the whole champagne wishes and caviar dreams.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. Because Vic knows, like, he's nuts. I'm literally doing commentary with a nut. I'm like, I'm just going to go with the fact that he's nuts.
But you know what? I will say this. Michael Cole has gotten a lot better.
Oh, well, you can thank Pat McAfee for that, because that helped rejuvenate him.
Oh, yeah. Well, not only that, but if you remember the Jerry Lawler heart attack incident.
Oh, well, that one, he had to turn face because you can't do this heel shtick anymore. He's got to be a good guy now.
But you know what? Like, it dropped, like, the over-the-top gimmick that was not working.
Right, with him at the coal mine and all that good stuff, yeah.
Although I will say, him making fun of Hit Row is
Flop Dollar. Flop Dollar is the best thing. Just every time Hit Row comes on, I look forward to it because I know Michael Cole's going to make fun of Top Dollar.
It's great. Like, he got so much shit for so long because it's like people are like, well, you're not Jim Ross.
Right. That was the big thing. You're not Jim Ross.
It's a generational thing. And, Jim Ross, I'm old enough to remember Jim Ross got shit on because it's like, well, you're not Gorilla Monsoon.
Right. And the funny part about Jim Ross is, like, his deal ends next month with AEW. You see him staying or do you see him going?
I think he's going to retire.
I mean, I think on Collision, was it last week, he, like, forgot CM Punk's name? He screwed it up, like, pretty bad, or, like, he had a brain fart?
I think it's time.
Yeah, I think it's time for JR to go, just stop now. It's okay, Jim. You don't have to be here every week.
Look at the flowers, as a Walking Dead fan would know what I mean.
Look at the flowers. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Oh man,
He's done it all.
but that's the beauty about wrestling. We get to see a lot of these great personalities, and like I said, the other one we mentioned with Stephen Amell with the guest host. I'm trying to think of ones that really stick out. We mentioned AEW, we mentioned Impact, and we did mention WWE a lot. I mean, but for Impact with me, like when you're getting like we mentioned Dan Lambert, kind of celebrity wise there. I'll mention it right here. Frank Wycheck of the Tennessee Titans wrestled with James Storm in a tag match at Slammiversary in 2007. Dale Torborg, the former Kiss Demon, and the Chicago White Sox and AJ Przinsky. That was the thing.
And then he became the Kiss Demon again.
He became the Kiss Demon
Or
again.
sorry, just the Demon.
The Demon. Chris Rock. I mean, if you look at the early NWA TNA, like you had Chris Rock and friggin' Toby Keith and all these people coming in, like doing the stuff there. I know. It's just a lot of early TNA stuff with your favorite person in the world, Jeff Jarrett. Daniel loves Jeff Jarrett so much. With what he did. Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy in a Texas Chainsaw Death match. Let's go.
To hell with both of them.
Oh, it's harsh. It's harsh.
And it gets even better. Jarrett even said, "Oh, maybe Leatherface will even show up."
Oh my God! Why? Why? Just why? No.
Which, if you're a wrestling fan of crappy Japanese, you'll know there was a wrestler named Leatherface.
Yeah.
He was part of the King of the Death match in '95, where Mick Foley ended up winning. It was just some dude in a shitty mask.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and I think that also goes into the whole, unless you're a diehard wrestling fan, you have no idea what that means.
There was even a super Leatherface.
Yeah, I know. This was also around the time of Damien 666 and Halloween and all these Mexican, luchadors and the masks. I remember.
That tried to imitate the American slasher characters.
It just was not good. It was not good.
It was pretty shitty.
It was pretty shitty. But yeah, and I
Did
think
we get wrong? But what didn't they even have Trey Parker and Matt Stone on once?
for Raw, I think so. I think they had a celebrity involvement when they were in the crowd. I remember. All right, this ties into it. So I remember LeBron James being in the crowd. I remember Jeff Jarrett putting the figure four on Ben Stiller in '99. There has been a lot of like celebrity influence and influx. I mean, of course, we talked about Bad Bunny, Logan Paul now, and Jake Paul, but like, there's most of the stuff like we mentioned guest hosts that were good and bad, but there were some fun interactions with them in the crowd. Like seeing a lot of the celebrities in the crowd was fun, and you could tell that they were having a good time. There weren't just like,
I actually just pulled up the list. We had Seth Green.
oh, Seth Green was a great one. That was a very good one where he got to wrestle with DX. Yes.
Ben Roethlisberger.
The Rock. The Rock.
And again, God rest his soul, Vern Troyer.
Yes, that's right. Mini Me was a guest host. Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, at the time, New York Yankees star Johnny Damon.
I remember Johnny Damon being on there. All right.
He was.
That makes sense.
Dooley Hill from.
Oh, that makes sense. That was Sight. Yeah.
Chris Angel, I remember. Pete Rose.
We mentioned Pete Rose, yeah.
And of course, somebody who just had a birthday, Hulk Hogan.
Happy 70th, Hulkster.
Which I will say, God rest his soul. Fuck the Hulk Hogan.
Iron Sheik, yes. You know what it is? Yes, God rest his soul, Sheiky baby. The one thing I will say about that, and the fact that he got booed at WrestleMania standing next to Titus O'Neil was the best thing ever for me, watching Hulk Hogan get booed.
And you can see Titus O'Neil's just like, get this guy away from me.
Yeah, you could tell. You could tell. But yeah, no, those are some of the best ones. Vern Troyer was also very funny because he was into it.
Cheech and Chong.
Cheech and Chong was another good one. Yes, where they faked like they were smoking and having a bong hit. Yep.
They probably were.
They probably were, absolutely. But
we even got Duddy Rhodes.
Dustin Rhodes.
Duddy Rhodes, let me tell you something. We had the great American Dream, Duddy Rhodes, talking about high times.
Yes, Dusty was a great guest host. But then again, this was also when he was still doing the NXT stuff, so that where it made sense. But yeah, no, there's a long list of people that were like really good. Like you mentioned, some of my favorites have really been like the Seth Greens and the Freddie Prinze Juniors in the early stages. Well, then they kind of got
And of
like,
course,
yeah,
former WWE champion, world champion, good old Marvel guy, Big Bad Dave.
Dave Batista. Yes. Oh, again, one of the we've talked about it and will probably be a future episode. Him coming back, made him babyface. Should have been a heel. Then they turned him heel, and then bye bye.
The great thing was even he's tried saying it, like when he said before they even brought him back, because they said what the plan was. It was supposed to be him and Orton, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the initial plan was for Batista to win the title at WrestleMania.
Yeah, they were supposed to do Batista and Orton, and Batista was going to beat Orton.
And even Batista's like, yeah, no. But Vince is like, no. The people will love it. Oh, they love you.
Oh God, it's just the out of touchness of Vince McMahon. And I think one of the other things that we can really get about guest hosts, because this kind of ties into it. I mean, you did have like Chris Jericho was a guest host when he did this stuff with the New Day. That was funny. Like
John
that.
Lovitz. We had John Lovitz.
He's losing his mind, and I'm reaping all the benefits.
Rob Zombie.
Don't remember Zombie being a host, okay, but apparently he was. What's his face? Shatner was fun.
Florence Henderson.
Yes, okay, all right. Florence Henderson did some stuff with the Big Show. I remember that. Betty White.
Toby Keith apparently was.
Yeah, there's a lot on the list here, folks, that I'm not like familiar. That wasn't even like I don't remember them being there. I remember Trish. That was with
Perez Hilton.
Oh God, the TMZ dude. Yeah, no.
Cyndi Lauper.
All right.
Via Skype, Charlie Sheen.
Yes.
Winning.
They were supposed to. That was when they were going to do Charlie Sheen versus Daniel Bryan, but it got next. Remember?
Yeah, we had Mick Foley as Santa Claus.
Okay.
Michael Strahan.
Makes sense.
Aaron Paul.
Okay.
Good old Jesse Pinkman. We had Arnold.
Yep.
And Joe Manganiello.
Yep. Okay. A lot of these are coming back.
Kevin Hart.
Yep.
And then after Kevin Hart, the week after, the month after, we had the return of Bret Hart in Montreal.
Was that around the time when he was starting to get into like the GM spot and he beat the Miz for the US?
I think so.
Oh God.
I think now that I'm looking at this list, some of these are kind of October 6, 2014. Kathy Lee Gifford and Hoda Kotb.
I remember that because they got booed out of the building.
And then November 17th, 2014. The greatest guest host of all time.
Okay.
Grumpy Cat.
Yes. Okay. I remember the Grumpy Cat thing with Natalia and all that stuff. Okay. All right. Makes sense.
We had Jon Stewart, who's a huge wrestling fan.
Oh, friggin' costing John Cena against Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. That was a good one.
Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
That was the thing. Black and yellow.
Let's see. Who else do we have?
Ashton Kutcher, I do remember. Dr. Phil. Okay, yeah, no. I do remember what's his face? Ashton Kutcher. That one I remember. That was very brief.
Him and Danny Masterson.
Yes, okay. All right. Quentin Jackson when they were promoting the A-Team. Yes.
And when I say Danny Masterson, I mean before he before he got sentenced to prison.
Oh yes, I remember when he got sent to prison. Well, I'm not going to talk about what he did, but I remember.
And let's not talk about the greatest of all time.
Okay.
June 26, 2017.
Okay, which one was that?
A guy who speaks it into existence. I'm talking about LeVar Ball.
Where he took his shirt off like a jackass?
Yeah.
That one was terrible. That, like, folks, like, there's a lot of people on this list that I'll be honest, I don't recall. And as we're reading it, I'm like, yeah, that happened. Oh, the Muppets was a fun one with Seamus. The Muppets was a fun one.
But LeVar Ball,
Oh,
who that was shortly after his eldest son, Lonzo, that's who it was, got drafted to the Lakers.
mm-hmm.
They're already booing LeVar.
Yep.
And, he just runs down to the ring like a crazy man.
Yep. Got in the Miz's face.
And I think even Miz is like, dude, what the hell? What is he doing?
Yeah, he had that look on his face like, what the hell's going on?
Like, this isn't part of the show, dude. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Josh Duhamel, I some of these I've forgotten were even a thing.
Yeah, man. I think as we're looking at this and we're like really just going into it, I totally forgot too. Buzz Aldrin, friggin' Buzz Aldrin. Forgot about that. I think so. The last guest host list that we have on here, as we're reading the wiki and really going through our memory, folks, Michael Shea and Colin Jost. I don't. Was that around the time? Oh God, was this when they did the stupid thing with him and Oh, this was the Braun Strowman bull crap where he eliminated them from the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, God.
Flow Rider.
Oh, well, that makes sense. He's done a lot of theme songs for WWE.
Whatever happened to him? Is he still even making music anymore?
I'm pretty sure he is. Like, I'm really pretty sure he is. His last album was 2012. Well, no, well, yeah, he hasn't had an album in about like 11 years.
Let's talk about September 17th, 2012.
Okay, which one was that one?
Jared Fogle.
That did not age well.
No.
No, it did not.
He's getting a different kind of footlong now.
$5 foot long. As I noticed, most of these, dude, like Ariel Winter was one. She was in the Chaperone with Triple H, and I think she was on Modern Family. That's why a
You
lot
mean Triple H?
of H, to quote William Regal.
And Humanga.
Humanga.
I'm looking at the list. Shawn Michaels, Pitbull even did an episode.
Makes sense. Well, Pitbull and Maya made sense because that was The Rock's birthday, and then Maya sang "Happy Birthday" to The Rock.
I knew Johnny Knoxville did one. Chad Ochocinco.
No, I don't remember that one at all. I know that sounds familiar, but I don't remember Chad being on there. Like I said, a lot of these I totally forgot. Bobby J. Thompson was one, who's a rapper, and I don't remember what he was in, but I know Bobby J. Thompson was on there. That sounds familiar. But okay. Yeah. Oh, Rima Fakir, you know who that was? That was the chick that was on Tough Enough.
Oh.
She was like the one of the Miss USA. She was Miss Michigan, Miss USA.
But Jared Fogle. That really did not age well.
And that was 11 years ago that happened. So yeah, that that's a lot of the list, folks. So pretty much what we got of guest stars.
We got Johnny Knoxville, which, you know what? At least he is an actual fan.
And he worked hard with Sami Zayn.
He did. You know what? Honestly, it was never going to be a great match. But for what it was, and like, correct me if I'm wrong, but as a fan of wrestling, like, you got to go into some of this stuff with low expectations and not look at, like, Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn was never going to be like an Okada versus Omega.
No.
It was never going to be a Briscoes versus FTR. You got to look at things for what they are and acknowledge it. Acknowledge it. So, I don't know. It kind of makes me wonder, with WrestleMania 40 coming up, like, do we see more? Like, do we see more UFC hosts? Do we see Joe Rogan appearing on WWE?
I don't know, but I think we're gonna have a lot of more celebrity involvement. I think even as we're going through the list and talking about the guest hosts, and before we wrap it up, it's one of those ones that sticks out to me because I think the importance of that also helps drive more fans to the drives more fans to the product and really does showcase what we get to
Yeah,
see going forward. And I think it's the best thing that happens when it comes to professional wrestling. It's a great tie-in with pop culture and wrestling.
yeah. I mean, I remember we used to have like lousy, celebrity wrestling. But you wonder who's next? Like Logan Paul, like
Well, we had celebrity championship wrestling with Hulk Hogan back in the day, where you had Dennis Rodman and Todd Bridges and all that.
fuck the Hulk Hogan.
Fuck the Hulk Hogan. Yeah, but that was the thing, folks, back in the day, celebrity championship wrestling.
Anytime I hear that name, I have to gotta support the Shiki baby. God rest his soul.
And Dustin Diamond was on that season. God rest his soul. I remember that.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, this was also around the time when he came off of Celebrity Fit Club and was like pretty much like, "Fuck you guys, I'm gonna take the freaking weight loss. You can't tell me what to do."
But it's I think we're gonna see more of it. And when, like I said, when it's done right,
It works.
oh yeah, like Logan Paul, say what you will, good. Like personally, I think he's fucking horrible.
I think as a person, he's a shithead. As a wrestler, he works hard.
As a person, look up what he did in Japan.
Yeah,
Do you know about that?
is that the one about the dead bodies?
So, folks, to give you an idea, um, there is a place in Japan called Aokigahara Forest.
Okay.
The place where people have gone to unalive themselves. He is supposedly, as urban legend goes, it's supposedly very haunted. I mean, a place like that, I could imagine it would be. Um, he went there, and there was a video, and maybe this is a number of years ago. This is probably 5, 6 years ago.
It's got to be like 2017, 2016, something like
Yeah,
that.
right around there. He did a video where he went into the forest. He was, trying, the whole haunted thing. He found somebody who was hanging who had unalived themselves. Showed it on the video, unedited. The show actually showed the person. For a number of hours, that was on the front page of YouTube,
Yep.
where kids could have seen that.
Which that's
I
wild.
mean, it caused a huge thing. Like he got investigated in Japan. He ended up issuing an apology, which whether or not he actually meant it or not, I don't know. But the thing of it is, should he have done it? No. Is he really sorry? I don't know. But to me,
As a person, like I said, bottom line, as a shit person, he's a shithead. As a wrestler, I can respect the work he puts in.
I mean, my God, he got hurt in the Roman match, and he still finished
And
it
he
out.
still wrestled. And he still wrestled. Uh, like I said, that's the love of the game and that's the love of the craft when it comes to these people. If it's done right, like we mentioned with today's celebrities and guest hosts, which Daniel reminded me of as we looked at the wiki, just it's something like to really react to and get our genuine reactions. And if you want some more wrestling and you want some more celebrities and if you want some more great wrestling discussion, you should tune into Uncaged because Daniel, not only are we putting a wrap on this, but we are starting episode 3. And what's going to be episode 3? The rise and fall of the Nexus. If you're not Nexus, you're against us, which started in the summer of 2010. And yeah, it could have been great.
It could have been great, but you know what? I can't see it.
The John Cena feud, and we'll discuss how they should have won at SummerSlam 2010, how Wade Barrett got out of the Nexus into the core, and then CM Punk took over. And yeah, it lasted for almost a year, and then it went bye-bye.
We will even discuss the infamous Justin Roberts tie incident.
Oh, geez, man. I know we're going to have to talk about it. Daniel Bryan gets fired and then rehired. Yeah,
Like the next day.
like the next day. Ugh. Like It was something. It was a hell of a time, and I can't believe that's already 13 years ago. But we're gonna take a time travel back. And
I
hey,
feel old.
I know, me too, dude. I was graduating high school.
I don't like this.
Me either. I was graduating high school in 2010, so I'm right there with you. But yeah, where you can expect more of these great shows.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
Maggle, I don't like it.
I don't like it either. But we're going to talk about more of it in episode 3. So before we put a bow on this, and I hope we've entertained you. I know we went all over the place, but that's what we do. That's why you're my friend, and I love you. But you, my friend, are not only doing this show, but you are doing the TSK, which I'll have you promote in a second. You are facing Dazzy Dangerously, the captain, at Max Wrestling's All for One, the week of All In for the TV Championship. Thoughts going into that? How are you feeling, man?
Mike, you know what I do.
I know what you do.
You know how good I am.
I know.
You know, and I will say this because I know he's going to see this. I know he is. You open the door. You know, part of the problem is you open a door. Some doors cannot be closed. Be careful with what you let out.
Oof. I like it. Stern.
Be very careful.
I like it. Stern, blunt, to the point. And also, if you want to check out a lot of great stuff, they have the TSK. You're a part of this little thing called the Too Sweet Click. You guys have got your shows. You want to promote some of the shows that you guys coming up, or some past shows, if you will?
We got some stuff coming down the pike that we are planning. There is also the Too Sweet Click Adventures with my dude Harold and his lovely wife Bree. Brianna, and they do food reviews. They do touring locations in the LA area. They've done filming locations. I believe they did Back to the Future a number of years back. You know, give them a check out. You know, check out what they got. See what they have. They got some good stuff. You know, we got some stuff that's cooking. You know, so kind of keep it posted. And as for Thursday and the good old that other show, let's just say I'll have some words for that guy. I'll have some words for him coming up soon.
Alrighty, so stay tuned on the Max side of things for Daniel and Dazzy, and stay tuned for the TSK, and support Harold, who and his lovely wife, like you mentioned, do a great job with their food reviews. The link will be in the description. And if you want to follow this show, subscribe to Mike Larkin on YouTube. We are up to over 570 subscribers now. Keep them coming, baby.
Because we get the views.
We do.
No cinematic bullshit here.
We get the views. You can also check out SM Show 1 MCL 92 on the Twitter machine. You can check me out on Instagram.
The X machine now.
The X machine. Instagram Larkin_92 and M Larkin MV. StephenMikeShow.com, Capital Championship Wrestling, Lingerie, Fighting Championships, and so much more. There's a lot of great stuff on this channel. And you can follow Dan on Instagram, DCrimmins1. And you're on Threads now too, right? Which is pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, I guess it's I still don't really understand what it's supposed to be. Like,
it's Twitter Lite. It's like Twitter Lite.
I mean, like, do we call Twitter, like, what is it supposed to, like, is it still called a tweet? Is it an X? Or what, you know, what do you call it?
Are we Xing?
And, you know, because I feel like this is semi-wrestling related.
Sure.
I guess Zuckerberg and Musk are actually going to fight.
Oh, God.
I guess it's actually going to happen.
Oh, God. Zuckerberg is going to get his ass kicked.
Like, I'm sorry, but dude, he's gonna get destroyed.
Gotta get molly-whopped.
Supposedly, I've heard they're doing it in Rome, Italy. Like, I don't know how true this part is, but I heard they're doing it actually at the Coliseum.
Okay, well, we'll see what that happens. Oh shit. Okay.
Ari Emanuel, you've got the UFC, you've got the WWE.
Book it.
Give them whatever they want. Do it.
Book it. Just do it, like Shia LaBeouf said. Just
like, you will seriously sell so many pay-per-views. Just on that match alone.
Yes. So
put it in a Hell in a Cell.
Put it in there. So check out all the links, and they'll be in the description. So, folks, I hope you did enjoy this rigmarole, this funness that you and I provide with Uncaged.
That only we can do.
Yes. So check out episode 3, coming to you very soon. And this concludes episode 2 for Daniel Crimmins. My name is Mike Larkin. This has been Uncaged, and we'll see you next time. Take care.